Willena, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello. Hello.
Remind me where you're talking to us from today.
I am in Tampa, Florida right
I
now.
remember that. Yes, I remember talking about the warm weather. Look at
Yeah.
me, like cozying up in a sweater while I'm inside.
Yes. I'm like, it's hot. I need to just take the jackets off. Yeah.
I remember you said you visit New York or visit somewhere, and you were like, oh, right, we need a jacket here. And I was like, right, that's the life you live where you don't really own jackets.
Yeah. I definitely experienced it. I am the leisure jacket wearer for style. And when I went to New York, my first time I was laughed at by all the actual New Yorkers, and they were like, you need a real jacket. So yeah, I had to borrow jackets when I arrived.
Well, I feel like New York weather is probably the same as Toronto right now. And it is, I just bought this like new parka. It was so expensive, but I'm like, I feel like this is a chic version of one, but it's like, how do you look chic when like you're dressed like
Freezing
this?
to death.
One of my friends told me that I look like I'm wearing a sleeping bag, and I can't get that idea out of my head now. It kind of looks like that. But I'm like, I wish my attire was just like a cute blazer, but it's like it's 20 below.
Right, right. No, it's always the transition just from the car to the warm building for me.
I know, I know. And your cars have air conditioning on full blast at all times.
That's right. That's right. They must work.
What a life. What a life. So I creeped your LinkedIn. You've worked at some top companies. You did Amazon, you've done Facebook, you've done Roblox, and now you currently are where? At Roblox, right?
I'm at Roblox right now. Yes.
And you mostly recruit for engineers.
Yes. All engineers nowadays, most of my career has been all technical specific hiring. So that would be in my wheelhouse from entry level, like software engineer, all the way up to VP of engineering or
Very
for
cool.
top companies.
Recruiting is a really cool job. It's like I'm a realtor, and I feel like it's a similar skill set.
Yes, definitely.
You're the
Definitely.
middle person that's trying to make two people agree on things.
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar to being in real estate because people have the misconception that recruiters, all they do is look at applications all day because everybody wants to work at your company and it's woohoo. And it's never been that. All the companies, although I've worked at Facebook, Amazon, and now Roblox, big brand companies that everyone wants to work at, it's unfortunately not typical that the right person is applying for the job. So I'm literally cold calling and cold messaging people on a daily basis, like, hey, I'm the stalker that's trying to give you a new job. Interested? So definitely similar to real estate.
I think you said it right. It's so funny. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of applications, but you're like, but we want that person because they have X, Y, and Z experience. And
Mhm.
I've noticed this in my career previous to real estate. I worked at HelloFresh for 3 years and one of the
Oh,
first
nice.
people in HelloFresh Canada. And it would serve me well if I continued down that corporate route or corporate startup route. But now
Mhm.
I notice a lot of people, like a lot of my friends still work there, they're getting recruited all the time just because they have HelloFresh on their resume.
Yes. Yes. You will forever have a job based on the brand that you attach yourself to.
And it's only because HelloFresh really took off.
Yes.
And it's
Mhm.
so funny, like that person, and it's not that it's the case, but that person could have done absolutely nothing in that job. And
Mhm.
just because they have that name,
Title and that name. Yeah.
why is that? Like, what are recruiters thinking? They're just thinking, okay, you've been in that environment, you understand high growth, you understand working hard. So those are the skills that we assume you have.
We trust that if you made it through one company
Mm.
that is just as successful and uber big, big data type companies and things like that, where it's high touch, we expect that you likely can do the same here.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Simple as that.
I think we talked about this when we first chatted. I saw the funniest like TikTok meme the other day. And there's this new company called Fishbowl happening
Yeah.
right now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah. So there's so many like funny TikTok memes about that. But there was
Mhm.
one about like it was like the most minuscule problem happened at my job. And when a recruiter emails me, it's like, yep, 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 I'm available.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. And it's like literally you could get an annoying email and you're like, I'm available for a call.
most of the time, that's, it's all about timing.
It
So
is.
if you catch a person just at the right time and where they are in their career, they're always willing to have a conversation, even if they're not, looking, but it's all about the timing that you catch someone.
I know. Well, I think anyone that is smart about their career, you should kind of always have that door open.
Right.
You just never know. There's no point if someone's reaching out to you as a recruiter. Again, I'm not in that business anymore. I mean, eventually I will be, as like brokerages probably want me on their teams instead of the team I'm on. But I feel like if a recruiter thinks your resume is good enough and they want to call you, if the number's right and the opportunity's right, like take the call. You don't know.
Yeah. And
You
it's
know?
always good to constantly brush up on your interviewing skills. That's something I teach to my clients. Like it's important to, even if you really don't have an intention to go, don't burn a bridge per
Yeah.
se, open that line of communication because you never know where that recruiter is going.
100% because your actual dream job, they could be getting recruited for that. It's a
Exactly.
constant cycle.
It is. It absolutely is. And it's a surprisingly, when it comes to these big tech companies, the circle of us is small. We
Yeah.
typically know a lot of each other. The good ones,
100%.
the ones that are considered leaders in the industry, we all know each other and we all are working at
Absolutely.
the big tech companies. So
And it's like if you know that one of the girls at another company is hiring for a role and your CEO doesn't want the one that you're interviewing, but you're like, they were so great. You're going to be like, well, are you interested in this? Like, I'm sure there's like, same as in
absolutely.
real estate, there's referral fees and whatnot. Like, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Like, it's a small world. People know each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's right. For me in particular, for my clients specifically, after they complete my program, I position them, depending on what the role is, if there's something I can find for them that we can work on together, I position them exactly into those particular companies because I have relationships with a lot of different recruiters that trust me and my skill set and know that, oh, if they were officially trained by you through the interview process, they're a valid candidate, they're good. So let's just put them through the at least through the first round. Whatever they do is up to them, of course, on how they perform, but at least give them their foot in the door.
Yeah. Do you think many companies are hiring based on a cold application anymore?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's still low hanging fruit. It's still
Yeah.
what we call low hanging fruit. So we're still checking the ATS to make sure people aren't qualified because we have to disposition people. Because listen, if you apply for a position and you never hear back, what's your experience? Your experience is that, dang, this company is not her, they suck. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And then you're going to tell your friend and your
You're
friend's
telling
friend.
everyone.
And then that's a smaller group of people that won't apply to us in the future. So we at the very least are going to look at your application and filter through the ones that are qualified for a particular position or not qualified.
Right.
And then you live in that, and then you live in the ATS forever.
And what's ATS stand for?
Applicant tracking system. So when you apply
Okay.
for the position, you go into what we call an applicant tracking system, whatever tool they use. And we can actually source and search for candidates through that applicant tracking system. So let's say I'm hiring for an engineer, but someone else is hiring for a developer. If you're a better fit for a developer, we can search through our ATS, our applicant tracking system. And although that particular person didn't apply to our role, we can still grab them and reach out to them about something else. So it stays on there forever. So we expect, 5 years down the line, 2 years down the line, now they're more senior, we can still pull their contact information and reach out later. So it's still not in vain to apply.
Exactly. And I think what a lot of people don't realize when they're going through the application process, your role, there's many of you at your own company because you are only hiring for engineers, front end, like staff, like everything. But then there's another full person that hires for marketing, another full person that hires for like high level VP. And it's like, I don't think people realize like, yes, they can apply to your role. And if it's not a good fit, as long as you had a good impression of them, who's to say you're not a good fit for any other role? And I think people
Absolutely.
forget that sometimes when they're interviewing.
Absolutely. They're the bigger the company, the more opportunities there are to be a fit somewhere in there because every company has technology, finance, marketing, legal, sales, whatever the case will be. So you can position yourself into several of those type of positions. It doesn't have to be just one or different niches that are similar to what you're doing. You just have to, the key to all of that is to position yourself and how you in your resume and your LinkedIn profile to tell the story that you qualify for more than one thing.
Yeah. And I think that's everyone's toughest part right now is, I mean, you know, the term, I think everyone's calling the past couple of years, the great resignation.
Right.
People are realizing, wow, I'm pretty disenfranchised with my current career and I don't even really care to go find another job because I just need a break. Mm-hmm. And I know, like, I've talked to a lot of recruiters, or I've just kind of seen the sentiment of recruiters just throughout LinkedIn, like predominantly in Canada, and they're finding it hard to recruit people. Mm-hmm. And that's the sentiment. Like, what do you think?
It's true. For every one candidate, there's probably 10 jobs that they can pick from. Yeah. So you now have to jump and dance basically to convince a person to come to your company, because now they have all of these big companies that they never dreamed of working at. Now they're all calling them, and they get to be selective in the company they choose. So they've
never felt more powerful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which is great, which I love from a career coach perspective, because I'm teaching people how to step into greater things, because historically, people think you accept the job they offer. But now you're in a place where you get to leverage your experience with that offer and say, no, I have competing offers here. This is what I want. Can you provide it? And once you have that, once you believe in your power, like that they do want you, and it's a competitive market out there, they'll probably jump through some hoops for you. That's where it's really empowering, because you feel like, yeah.
But it also, I'm sure, feels empowering for you as the recruiter when you get the candidate what they want, because there's nothing worse than starting a job and kind of getting less than what you feel like you deserved. You're starting that job already looking for other jobs. And that's a shitty way to start. It's a waste of resources on the company.
Yes, absolutely. So that's why it's always better to ask in the beginning what you actually want. Don't just accept it. If they can do it, they can. If they can't, they can't. But at least you're going into it knowing you asked and you tried.
Yeah. So many people are so afraid to ask for a little bit more money. And I always tell my friends, even when they're getting promotions, like within the company, I'm like, ask for more. 5K is nothing more, but 5K to you over the course of a year means a lot.
Mm-hmm. And a secret that not a lot of people know is that we, as a company, it costs us to have to rehire you.
Exactly. AKA everyone forgets that.
Like you. And so, because now you have to pay me as a recruiter more money to recruit that particular candidate, the person that's in that the team that person reported to is now having to do double the work. So that's overtime. And so it's a cycle. Off. So it's a cycle. You may have lost another person because they're aggravated, and something else came better along, that valued their work-life balance. So it's important. It's our responsibility as an individual to ask for more early on in the process versus waiting when you're like fed up and you're like, oh, I'm not taking this anymore. You better give me some more money or else. Exactly. And typically what's interesting about that is, even if they gave you more money, you probably still wouldn't stay, because at that point, it's no longer the money.
Too late. Mm-hmm. Happens every time when people put in the resignation and they're like, wait, you have a competing offer. Let me give you 15 more grand. They're like, why didn't you give me that when I asked for it during promotion discussions?
Yes. Sorry. Can you hear that?
Yeah. Is it trains?
I live downtown. So
what is it? Is it a train?
Yeah.
I did not know there was trains in Tampa.
It's the little ones, but yeah.
A little but mighty.
They only do it at night. Which is cool, I guess, so it's not interrupting your day, but here we are at night.
Is it only when they're passing?
No, it's just a one-way train. And it's only got 4. Oh, but this one's a little bit longer, but it's relatively small.
We have them too, and we always hear them like right as they're passing.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. So I'm like, I'm assuming it's passing by. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, too funny. But anyways, obviously you've changed a lot in your career as well. And obviously at one point you didn't know all of the skills that you now know. So at one point you had to figure out how to interview correctly, position yourself in the best light. And I know we spoke briefly about it, but I always talk about on this podcast the ebbs and flows of life. And I know, like I said, we briefly talked about it. You had a huge couple ebbs in your life. You
Mhm.
lost your mom, you went through a divorce, and during your marriage, you mentioned that your husband was predominantly the provider.
Mhm.
So after those two things that happened, again, that's a huge ebb in your life. But how did that affect you where you realize, oh crap, like this is a big setback in my life and I almost eventually need to rebrand myself and refocus?
Yeah. For me, I probably experienced what a lot of people experience, which is like doubt in all things life. I'm a religious person and I was like, dear God, what is this? Why, what? I was loyal to you. Why are you not being loyal to me?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was about the mindset I had at the time was in order to be anything, I needed to be attached to this person. And now this person is not there. I was like, how am I going to survive? How am I going to do anything on my own? How will I afford to live? And then I didn't have that same level of guidance from a mom because she had just passed 3 months before he wanted a divorce. And so I was just very like a fish out of water, just trying to flop around and survive. But in those type of situations, you have no choice. You're left with no other options but to reinvent yourself. It took a little bit of time, to hit the reset button, go back home with my dad at that
Yeah.
point, and kind of figure out what am I going to do. And what happened was my cousin, who is her and I are really close, lives in Atlanta, and at the time she was starting nursing school. She is a wife and a mother of 5 girls.
Wow.
At the time, all of her girls were very young. It was 1, 3, 4, and then like 9 and 12.
Oh my
And she was
God.
like,
That's a
I don't know
whole
what I'm going
house.
to do. I know. She was like, I didn't know what I was going to do. I'm starting nursing school. And I was like, well, I'll come help. Because I thought to myself, maybe this is God, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm just searching for a purpose at this
Yeah.
point. So I was like, okay. I asked my job, hey, can I move? Sure.
Were
Let
you
me go.
surprised how quick their answer was?
No, no,
Okay.
because some of the work was, I just happened to live in the headquarters at the time, which is still Tampa. And the rest of the world that, we have people in Canada and all these other places. And so they work remote. So I knew it was a possibility, and my work ethic had already spoken for itself. So I wasn't too concerned. So they said yes. I relocated and moved in with them at first because the place I was supposed to get ended up to the place didn't have internet. What
What do you
place in the
mean?
United States, literally the neighborhood did not have internet?
That's kind of
I'm
weird.
like, what?
What does that even mean?
I
It's
didn't even
Atlanta.
know
It's like the
that. I,
capital.
yeah, it was a small town out in the outskirts of Atlanta, but I had put a deposit down and everything and lost it because, they didn't have it and I couldn't move in. I had to work, So anyway, I moved in with them. So then I moved into the house of 5 girls, what I did was I work full time from home, and then the kids would come home from school. The 1-year-old I would keep, she had Down syndrome, and I would watch her throughout all day. And when the 2-year-old and the 3-year-old would get out of school, or 3 and 4 at the time, I believe, would get out of like preschool at 4. I'd pick them up from school. We'd hang out, it'd be all 3 of us until the rest of the kids came home from school kind of thing. But providing her that support that she needed to kind of get through. Now she is a nurse and is doing great, and the kids are older and all great. But it provided that level of purpose for me that I needed to feel something,
Well, you
you know.
felt needed and wanted
It
again.
felt needed.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so from there, I started to realize, that I am capable of greater things, and should that really help shift my mindset? Because from a child's perspective, I felt I'm an example because I don't have any children and I'm living this cool, fun life, driving nice cars. And, to them, it's like, how can I be like you? And so
100%.
I felt like, okay, I could get used to this. How can I help more people? And I'm still recruiting at this point. And an opportunity presented itself to work at Facebook. And of course, it's like a once in a lifetime opportunity. Of course, you take it. And I interviewed with them. And the approach that I tell my clients, I took that same approach and I gave everything I had preparing for that interview. I had pages and pages and pages of notes. I had practiced and practiced and practiced, coached myself, all of these things to prepare myself through this interview. I mean, there's not one thing they could have said I wasn't ready for. And I got the job.
Well, I hope.
It was double my earnings. And
did you ask for more?
I said, oh, they offered me the position and told me the compensation. And I, of course, again, this is at the time I didn't have to be on FaceTime. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I was really expecting this.
Good for you. Wow. The confidence.
And they accepted.
And they were offering you double what you're currently getting paid.
They didn't know that.
Of course.
They didn't even know that,
but so many people don't even would have
also
looked at that and said, oh, wow, I don't deserve that much. But you were like, okay, I'm not going to let you see me sweat. I was expecting more. Good for you.
Right. And that worked. And I asked for a sign-on bonus. They gave it to me. I relocated. I moved sight unseen to California. And again, another big shift to Menlo Park, which is where Facebook is headquartered. And it really opened up my eyes to an endless life of possibilities.
Precisely.
Because Facebook is like Disneyland. It really is like Disneyland. There's nothing else to compare it to. The amenities and the things that they have, you know, to a regular person that's not ever experienced this, is like, OMG, this is Disneyland. And it's all free stuff, you know.
Tell me a couple before you continue.
Like, for example, like we would have, first of all, there's an entire campus. There's like 60 buildings for Facebook. Each building has their own cafeteria. And the hub of the original Facebook of Hacker Way is they have this mega different cafeterias, like a barbecue pit, a taco, like on Mondays, you know, I don't know if in Canada they have Moe's Monday, but they have a place there that serves burritos that are better than Moe's, but every single thing is free. So you're like getting specialized burritos, and there's an ice cream shop, and there's like movie theaters, and you can ride a bicycle from campus to campus. And I mean, it's just a whole experience. And they hold no bars in terms of like, for like our engagement stuff, they had a Ferris wheel and a whole ride. They set up a whole, like, I mean,
this is insanity.
An experience, like I said.
Truly.
And so when you experience
the world of possibilities literally is in front of you.
It is literally the world of possibilities. And honestly, I experienced a lot of imposter syndrome, because it was, for me, like, how did I get here? Am I that good of a talker? Like, how did I get here? Especially, you know, being honest, I am a Black woman, and in the tech space, it's an underrepresented, there are a lot of underrepresented people, you know, that are not spoken for in tech. And the African-American community is one of those. And so when I'm there, I don't see a lot of people that look like me. So that also kind of fed to my imposter syndrome of, do I belong here? Lucky enough for me, my boss was also African-American, and he would constantly remind me, like, you do belong here. You're supposed to be here. They chose you. You know, so those are the words of encouragement. Now I know to pay forward to other people that you do belong in these places. They want you just as much as you want them.
They wouldn't have interviewed you if they didn't.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's definitely come full circle, because now I fully know my worth. I know how to communicate effectively, to teach others to also know how to know their worth. But from a perspective of a recruiter, I know exactly what everyone is looking for, or how to communicate what I want to hear, what I'm specifically looking for. And it isn't just relevant to technology. It's broad on what all recruiters are really looking for.
I want to ask you, do you think all of those changes in your life is what drove you to really prepare for that initial interview? Like, did you feel like it's this or nothing?
Yeah.
It was your ticket out.
Mm-hmm.
And almost like, I'll show you, like, I can bounce back.
Right. Right. And honestly, it's, as if you've gone through a divorce and you're like half of the people, more than half of the people that have the experience of, you just kind of want to stick it to your spouse kind of thing. You want to overcome adversity from that perspective. I was able to make significantly more money than he did. And I know it doesn't make that much, I don't care now, but then at that time, it was just like, I can stand up on my own 2 feet and surpass you in my level
I'd
of
sleep
success.
well at night knowing that. It's petty. I know what you're saying. It is petty, but I'm proud.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I wish everyone well and the best, and everyone has to go through their journey. And without that adversity, I would not have pushed myself for this. I would have just stayed in that mediocre life because I would have just said that, oh, that's what I'm supposed to experience. I didn't have examples of people that did beyond the normal. My mom was a teacher, kindergarten teacher forever. And my dad was a pastor. And so we strove for greatness in terms of connecting to God and, those
being a good person
connected. Yeah. Being a good person connected to your spiritual self, but don't ask for too much kind of thing, be grateful. And so I'm becoming my own example to other people because you don't have to settle. And in my opinion, I truly believe my mindset, and it hasn't failed me yet, is that you have to challenge God.
What do you mean by that? I've never heard of that before.
God is here to give you the things you're asking for. You pray, you serve, you are a vessel, you lead by example. He is here to provide the things that you want to have. If it feeds you, if it's appropriate. And so if you ask God, oh God, I just want to wake up in the morning, which is good. Obviously, we all want to wake up in the morning.
Good start.
But but let's challenge him. I would like to wake up on a yacht, or you know what I mean? You have to strive for greatness. God is, out here working miracles.
Yeah. Ask and you shall receive.
You've got to put yourself, you've got to have the mindset and believe in it. And I personally have that mindset. I believe in it. And I think I told you this, that I said I wanted to be the next Brene Brown, the Brown version of Brene Brown.
No, but that's an amazing
that's my vision. And the very next day, which was literally day before yesterday. So yesterday I had a call with a potential partner, and she was connected with someone who's on Brene Brown's advisory board. And is doing
you can't make these miracles up.
And I'm like, look how fast my God is working.
Yeah, overtime.
So that's what I said. I tell people, don't limit your beliefs and thinking that you can only have what other people around you have. You can't, as the philosophy, I read a book from T.D. Jakes, and the analogy he gives is from the giraffe and the turtle. The mindset of a turtle is only from its own perspective. It's not a bad thing. That's the turtle's perspective. It's the turtle's line of sight. This is the purpose. This is his marching orders. The mindset of the giraffe is set high, right? His line of sight is higher because he now has to align himself with other giraffes because that's who he is. But if he begins to continue to bring himself down to the level of the giraffe, one, their level of communication is going to be different because they're not the same. But two, the giraffe won't survive if he keeps dropping his head down. The blood flow won't continue to feed him. He's bending down into where he's not supposed to be. So my job as a giraffe is to make people realize that you can be a giraffe too. Right now, you may live the life of a turtle, which is fine. If you're happy with that, so be it. There's nothing wrong with turtles. You know what I mean? Like, save the species of all turtles.
Literally.
But if you feel like, I don't want to be like everybody else. I don't want to be a turtle. Then come on up here. Be a giraffe. Surround yourself with giraffes, and you eventually will become one.
It's interesting. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's interesting that you say surround yourself with that type of person, because I'm wondering, you say your mom was a teacher, your dad was a pastor, and it sounds like your sister is a beautiful person. If she has 5 daughters, I know she's a beautiful person. Like you have to be, and she's
Mhm.
a nurse. My God, you're just a family of perfect people. Um, well, my question to you is, do you feel like that strong mindset and that visionary outlook on life, do you think you got it growing up?
I think what really pushed me was that, and I literally keep a picture of my mom at my desk, is that my mom passed suddenly
Mm-hmm.
and she had a lot of untapped ideas that she didn't get a chance to pursue because she was too busy working and she wanted to
Mm.
wait until she retired. And literally, when she retired, she passed. And they say there are millions and millions of ideas that died with a person, $1 million ideas that died with a person. And so for me, I realized when she passed, she worked so hard for someone else truly, right? And didn't have the opportunity to really step into her purpose and her truest, biggest self that she could have been, that I had to do it for her. I have to do everything for her to, so that her life isn't, not that her life obviously was in vain. She was a very Christian woman and helped tons of people. Again, a preschool, kindergarten teacher, and eventually transitioned into special education teacher as well. So she made an impact, but there was still untapped potential that she waited. She waited for it to happen, waited for the right time, and that never happened. And so for me, it's like, I can't wait. I don't have time.
No, it's
I don't have
heartbreaking.
time. That level of instant need to continue on and to push forward is, it like literally turned on right then.
And it does. It's
Mhm.
it's heartbreaking, but that story is not the first time I've heard that type of story where people are
Mhm.
waiting for retirement, and it's like that is more than half of your life before you're finally going to start doing what you wanted to. What?
Right.
And the
Mhm.
way the way people are getting paid, and the way, and this is not even anything we're talking about today, but the way people are compensated and the lack of savings rate, I don't think people realize retirement is not in grasp anymore at the way
Mhm.
the world costs these days.
Mhm.
So it's like you got to start living today.
Right.
And I think a lot of people think you can't do both, but of course you can. Are you kidding
Mhm.
me?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they say a millionaire is made every 18 minutes statistically. So
Mhm.
I'm just around the corner. I'm next in
Same
line.
girl.
But if you don't believe you can achieve it, you'll never be it.
Right.
So it's all in the mind. Once you shift the way you think on what you can achieve and the purpose, the person you can become, nothing can stop you. No level of adversity can continue to get in the way because you'll continue to, overcome it.
Amen to that. My
Yes.
goodness. So I want to ask you a little bit more, like we've talked about kind of the ebbs of your life, and it's very clear you got through them and came out on the other side glowing, no doubt. But I want to talk a little bit about kind of what sparked you to create your coaching practice. Like obviously as a recruiter, I guess you saw a need of people being like, wow, you need some interview practice. And I guess that's what sparked it, hey?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I see people every day come through my eyes and come through my funnel of people because my job is to look at resumes and LinkedIn profiles all day. So I see the mistakes that people are making. And so I see that means the opportunities they're missing out on. And
And it's just a different way of answering a question, hey? And they're missing out on thousands of dollars, amazing opportunities. And it's like the coaching is there.
Mhm.
Mm.
Mhm. I had a person recently, one of my clients, who really kind of opened my eyes a little bit too. She told me, I said, what is your vision? What are your goals? What do you hope to achieve? As a career coach, my goal isn't just to prepare you for the next job. A career is a lifetime typically. So I'm trying to understand, what is your destination? Where are we going long term? And then what positions do we need to get ourselves into to get us there? Product placement to the right places. You don't want to keep stepping the wrong job, and then that you never get, then you end up in a circle and a cycle that's not what you wanted to create. And she told me, I don't have any. I don't have any goals. She told me, I look ahead. She's in her 20s. And she said, I think about when I lay down, I think about how when I'm in my 80s, sitting on a rocking chair, looking outside, about the life I didn't have. And I said, you at the age of 20 are thinking about your life at 80 and the life you missed out on that hasn't even happened yet.
You literally, I'm speechless.
And
I'm in my 20s and I'm speechless.
How many other people think like that? Probably more than we think, based on how the society is. A lot more people than you think are thinking like that. The problem with that is beyond the obvious. Like, without a vision, nothing will happen.
Every older person wants to shake this girl.
Right. Like, girl, are you crazy? Yes. And I shook
your
her
life is today.
Yes. I was like, what? First of all, we are going to reconstruct how you think altogether, so we work one-on-one, and I am helping her through that. And one of the projects I have for her, because she was afraid to dream. A lot of people think you dream, it's like a fantasy.
I'm with her to an extent. I have the self-development and the self-awareness and the intelligence to know everything you're saying, but there's a part of her that I'm like, I get it. Like, it seems like our dreams are too crazy sometimes.
But what if it wasn't?
I know. I'm working on it too.
That's the mindset that I live in. That's the mindset I live in. And that's the mindset I'm trying to teach more people to live in. What if it wasn't? What would you do? How would you prepare if it wasn't? That's what we're coaching on. That's what I'm coaching. Okay, what's your dream? It's this, or this. Okay, well, let's make it happen. Huh? You sure? No.
That's everyone's reaction.
Her goal, and I'm going to say this, and maybe 10 years down the line, when she is who
you put it out into the universe for her.
I'm putting it out into the universe, and we're going to have this interview to look back on when she's getting Oscar awards. Mm-hmm. Her goal is to be the next Shonda Rhimes or Issa Rae. And these are all very incredible women. If you watch Grey's Anatomy, you watch How to Get Away with Murder, you watch Scandal, all of which I do or did.
She creates the best shows.
The best. So that is who she's looking to become. But she is so petrified at what that success looks like. She's accepting roles that have zero things to do with the entertainment space, even though she has a degree. You went to school to do this, and you're still not doing it because you're accepting the doubt that's creeped into your mind. You've given it food. So now it's gotten bigger.
A buffet.
Now it's a grown adult living in your head, telling you, nope, can't do it. Yeah, you're going to fail. So let's just not do it. Let's save ourselves the pain. But what if you did it?
Yeah.
What if you succeeded doing it? We all have adversity some ways or another. The second you start believing, what if you did do it? That's when you become. I don't know if you read Michelle Obama's book, Becoming.
I haven't, but I would like to.
Yeah, it's on audio too. I'll have my books on audio.
I heard the audio version's amazing.
Oh, everything is amazing that she does. And when people talk their voice, like, it's just easier.
Yeah, so it's her doing the audio, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do it that way.
Yeah, I listened to her book. I listened to former President Barack Obama's book that way. And it's easier to digest because now that you're listening into their tone, you're visualizing yourself in that room that they're going through it. But the method that she kind of is talking about is like a be, do, have. So what it is if you don't be, and I know this it's not going to sound right until I get to the end. If you don't be, you can't do. If you don't be the person, you can't do the things. If you don't do, you can't have. So if you don't do those things, you can't have the things you want, right? The dream. If you do a little, so it says if you be a little, you do a little. So if you only put a little in, you're only going to get a little out. But if you become a lot or you be a lot, you can do a lot. Okay. And do a lot, have a lot. So if you can do a lot of things from the being, you can have a lot from the doing.
Mm.
So the mindset shift is be and just do it. It's the input to your output.
Do you find, we'll go back to the example of the client you're talking about, it almost seems, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're the one coaching her, it almost seems that she's kind of sitting back and waiting for people to hand it to her and almost validate that, like, you deserve this here. But I think a lot of people don't realize, like, if you're not saying you want it, we don't know that you want it, you know?
Right.
But it's also, it sounds like some self-worth things of deservingness.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
I think for her and for many people, it's living in a safe place.
Mm-hmm.
You're comfortable in your misery, right? And so the saying is you know, what is it then? You know the demon you have, kind of thing. Like, don't ask for more, at least you know what you've got. The problems you're dealing with are yours, you know it. So it is more so that she is comfortable in the pain she's experiencing. That's her comfort. It feels like a warm blanket because she's gotten used to it. She snuggles in, it answers her. I can't do it, right? Nope, you can't. Let me snuggle in. Nobody wants me, right? Nope, let me snuggle in. You know what I mean? It's your mindset is reacting to what you're giving it. And so I think it's almost like a disease because it's festering and it's spreading to your mind, which then spreads to everywhere else. If your mind is unhealthy, your body begins to, like, you don't take care of yourself. You do less self exercise and eating right and drinking enough water, all these things that preserve you long term. So then you start getting diseases, real diseases, and all this other stuff. And so it's a cycle. The mind is such a powerful thing. The second you start chipping away at the belief that you can, that's when it's kind of like, you know, if I'm thinking myself, I'm looking at a movie from a movie perspective, and at the end of the movie, it's like the nice, ta-da, the transformation. Believing is what becomes the transformation, the sunrise at the end of the movie, when they had, what they have is a movie is designed to move you, right? So it has oh, they're not going to make it. Oh, there's always a bad guy and a good guy. You want the good guy to win. Oh, the bad guy looks like they're about to win. And then they move you back to, now you're rooting for the underdog, and then they win and you're like, woohoo, when's the sequel? That's our life.
Yeah.
Like, we are an underdog. Now we need to root for ourselves to be the winner. You can't just be like, ooh, no, I'm just going to sit here and let life pass me by.
It's so funny.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, it's so funny that when you position it in a way where you're like, take yourself out of you and let yourself be the main character, for lack of a term, a classic term right now. Let yourself be the main character of this movie. And the moment we're sitting back looking at the main character, then we're rooting for them. But the moment we know it's us, then we stop rooting for it. Why? Weird. Hey, we cheer everyone else on, but we don't cheer ourselves on.
Yeah. You'll give your last bite of food to your child. You'll go broke for your child. But the second you have an opportunity to invest in yourself, which indirectly is actually helping your child, you don't see that because it's for you. So you're like, nope, I got it. My kids, I can't afford it. I can't do it. When it's actually changing the cycle and the mindset of your child. If your child sees you succeeding, they think they can succeed. If your child sees you failing, they know that they're going to fail too. What did they have to strive for? You didn't do it.
I know.
What's the likelihood they're going to do it? Is how they think. It's how I would think,
Well, look
you
at
know,
all the
so.
children with entrepreneurial parents. More
Mhm.
often than not, those children go the entrepreneurial route as well because they see the luxuries, they understand the hardships, but they understand the pros of it all too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But it's interesting because yeah, you came from like a family of a pastor and a teacher, and I come from a similar family where yeah, like kind of middle age or middle style income jobs, and like there wasn't much aspiration outside of that, and
Mhm.
it's affected me. But you and I are very ambitious people, so obviously we've expanded our mind somehow of thinking there's more out there and we want it. But think
Mhm.
about all the people that are almost afraid of wanting more, or even we go back to what we're talking about today. They're in an interview at a job and they're afraid to ask for more. Why? Why? And or even like I know a lot of women, they don't even apply for the job because they
Mhm.
don't think they're the perfect fit. And I'm like, throw in an application. Who cares?
Right. If you qualify for at least 40% of the position, just apply. The worst they're going to say is no, but the best they can say is, hey, let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
I was just talking to my brother actually before this call, and he's looking at some opportunities. And I said, don't craft your resume for the position you have, craft your resume for the position you want. Don't point out that you're a worker because that's the position you have. Point out that you're a leader because that's the position you want.
Interesting. But I think some people are afraid to put that because they may feel like it's lying.
There's always something that you've done at the workplace where you've led something,
Yeah.
you've helped someone. You're not just a contributor of everything, you've done
Right.
something. Lean on that, lean on that
What
until they
are
tell
some big like obvious mistakes that you see people doing, whether it's in the application process or whether it's in the interview process or the negotiation process, that you're sitting back being like, why did you do this? Like, why did you say that? Why did you do it that way? That people don't realize people aren't realizing that they're screwing up the opportunity for themselves.
I'll give you the top two.
Please.
Number one is confidence. Confidence is if you come into an interview and you're scared, and then when you present who you are, typically you stumble and you're not representing yourself well. It's natural to have a little anxiety on an interview sometimes. That's normal. If you're not trained by a career coach, that happens. But if you allow if you allow that whisper in your ear to say, nope, they're not going to hire you, then you're just like, I don't know how to answer this question, or what is your biggest weakness? I don't know. Or you forget your own name when you're like, introduce yourself. I don't know. You got to be confident. You got to be confident. If you're not confident, my hiring managers are going to be like, this person isn't qualified.
Yeah.
Why are they here?
If they can't be
Even if
confident
you
in
are.
this little interview where it's your own teammates, how are you going to represent the company?
Right.
Mm.
Exactly. And then the number two thing, let's see. So things that I would notice, confidence would be number one. Number two would be, goodness, I just lost my train of thought. I had the second one.
What's a mistake people make in the interview process or just anything that you keep seeing time and time again that it seems like everyone's doing it?
The second thing would probably be people are not prepared.
Ugh.
They haven't done their due diligence
Mm.
as an interviewee.
Yeah.
They're not really preparing for the interview appropriately. And then when they come in, the questions they're asking tell me you haven't done any research. Or if you're not asking questions, that's the interview 101. You should always have a question. And the
Mm.
last thing I really want to point out, which is like major, this was actually going to be my number two. I just thought of it. It's okay to have dead air. A
People
lot
are
of people,
scared of silence.
yeah, a lot of people think I've got to fill up all this time with words. And so then they're like running out of breath, trying to talk, ramble. And if I'm in an interview, I just had a debrief, which is a conversation that I have with my hiring managers after a conversation about a candidate. And their feedback was, well, this person was a talker. I wish I had more time. Most interviews are 30 to 45 minutes, at max an hour. So you have to be able to represent yourself quickly and efficiently. If they're asking you a question, don't beat around the bush, get to the point. And a lot of people interview, they get distracted and then they get nervous and then they start rambling. Then they forget the question. And then I'm like, what was the question? And then I'm daydreaming because it's like, this person is.
You forget even what you asked.
Like, yeah, that was good. Next. I mean, so for me, it's stay focused. Ultimately, stay focused. The best advice I could give someone is to stay focused. Everything you say should be intentional for the position you're applying for. Think about your answers. It's okay to take a breath. Don't just jump right in. Take a second.
Right.
Answer the questions they're asking. Don't answer the questions you think you're hearing. So you've got to be listening. And that's what I'm providing in I have a 30-day course and I'm preparing people in a quick period of time, how to listen, but also how to prepare, because I kind of know all the questions they're going to ask you. So if you're thoroughly prepared, just like my analogy with the SATs, if you're thoroughly prepared for the SATs and they're giving you all these prep questions, it's like, check. I know exactly what I'm saying. It's coming off natural. Yep. It's just a conversation. Because that's what it is. It's just two people talking. So,
and I find a lot of people forget that. That's how I've always went into interviews, where I'm like, I'm interviewing them as well. Do I even want to work at this company? Like, right. I've always treated it like a date. Like, am I enjoying having a conversation with this person? And right. I feel like that's made all of my interviews a lot more relaxed. But some of the tougher companies, like I remember when I was interviewing for like high corporate, definitely the HR managers and recruiters were looking for specific answers. They weren't looking for as much of a culture fit as, say, someone like a startup company. So that type of interview style doesn't work for like the top companies.
Right. And again, that's what I'm really training you on. There's still a way that you can obviously put your personality in there because they want to know if you're going to be a personality fit for the people already on the team. Yeah. But you just don't want the time to get away from you, because the worst thing that happens to most people, a lot of people that don't get the job, is because you didn't answer efficiently and the hiring manager, the recruiter ran out of time. Yeah. And they didn't get a good gauge of your experience. And now they don't know if you can do the job. And they interviewed the next person who did. And that they know for a fact they can do the job. So you really canceled yourself out of the opportunity because you didn't represent yourself well enough.
I mean, I've done that multiple times. And I'm not in the corporate world anymore. So I really canceled myself out. But I really could have used you in the corporate world. My God. And that leads me to my next round of questions. One question before I want to jump into you as a career coach. When you are working as a recruiter, a lot of recruiters are recruiting on LinkedIn. So what are you noticing about people's LinkedIn profiles? Well, I guess you're not noticing because you're searching keywords and they're not coming up. So what can people do today to be editing their LinkedIn to be available for recruiters like you?
What they want to do is look for the positions that they're aspiring to have. Reading the job descriptions, how are they describing the opportunity? That is typically how I'm going to be sourcing for that position. I'm using those same keywords to find candidates. Now, LinkedIn is an algorithm, and based on how many times you say a certain thing determines on whether or not you're going to be at the top or the bottom of the list. The other thing that LinkedIn is doing is based on your connections. If you're new to LinkedIn, you've got 5 people on your LinkedIn profile, you're not going to be getting the best outcome of outreaches from recruiters because you don't have enough people in your network. I have several thousands of people in my network, so I'm connected to a lot of different people. I may not know them personally, but it opens up my network for other people. So LinkedIn, you want to make sure you're connecting with people, networking. If you just got onto LinkedIn and you're like, I got 2 people, me and my husband, that is not what it's for. It's not Facebook. So you want to do your own keyword search. So the quicker you can learn how to find more people, the quicker you realize how they find you. So put in recruiter and just request everybody until they tell you you can't. That's what I did.
Good.
That's what I did. When I was starting out, before I became a recruiter, that's the path I took. You have to connect with the people that connect you to the company. Right. And so if you're in their network, you're going to be easier to pop up with the right words. Now, the worst mistake I see is that people only put their titles. They just put the title of what they do on their LinkedIn profile. That is the biggest mistake you can ever make, other than having your picture, not having a picture. Then I don't think you're real.
And you're not going to take them seriously. If you can't get your LinkedIn account updated, like, how do I know you're going to take this job seriously?
Right. But mostly I think it's that you're not providing enough detail. The resume is your high level overview of what you've done. You have 1 or 2 pager max of your resume, unless you've got several decades of experience. But a 1 or 2 pager is sufficient, but you have to itemize everything and condense it into that format. Your LinkedIn profile, on the other hand, is optimized for the page. So you can put as much information as you want on your LinkedIn profile. And it's encouraged to put more information on there because it's only grabbing more keywords that I can see and search for. If you only list one thing one time, you're going to be at the bottom of the thousands of people that I have on my list. But if you put a few other action words, don't just say hard worker.
And
you
we
have to
all
stand
are.
out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to stand out. What have you done? What have you led? I led a team into a project of X, Y, and Z, or I participated in a focus group of this, that, and the other. I led the initiative that led my company to a 20% growth. If you're a salesperson or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, you have to talk about the actions you took and how your contribution helped the company. Even if you're a customer service person, you can still have an opportunity to talk about the things that you
Of
helped make
course.
better,
I mean, you're driving the entire company. If you
Right.
could, like, if you don't have happy customers, you don't have a company.
Right. Exactly.
And I know, because I started in customer service for many years, and it's a very important part of the company, and people don't give it enough credit, I find.
Absolutely.
And it can open you up. If you're good at customer service, you're probably good at sales. You're probably good at recruiting. It can open you up. You're probably good at leading teams. Like, you're good with people. That opens you up to a lot of career angles. And especially if you're looking to get out of that role, the soft skills are there.
Absolutely. You can talk yourself into anything if you can, successfully navigate a call center world.
I want to ask you a few more questions. I want to talk about your career coaching. I always thought, and maybe it's because I'm not in the 9-to-5 world, but when I was in the 9-to-5 world, I had no idea there were career coaches. And I think a lot of 9-to-5 people think that. We know there's therapists, we know there's relationship coaches, we know there's self-development coaches, but I never thought it could be as tactical and succinct as, like, let's develop your career, because a career, as you said, is very strategic. So my question to you is, how do people find you, and when do they know that they should be hiring someone like you?
They should always hire someone like me, even if they're successful. Think about it like something you said earlier kind of resonated with me. You said you've not really worked with a coach except in sports. Yeah. So if you think about football, the players are on the field. The coach is who taught them those plays. The coach is whispering in their ear what play to go next. They're talking to the quarterback, tell them to do this. Okay, let's do it. Same thing with hockey, baseball, basketball. There's a coach. You don't see him or her on the main event per se, like they're not the one spiking the ball or anything like that, but they are responsible for the outcome of their team. So a career coach is preparing you for what I like to call your Super Bowl. I'm preparing you for that level of success where you feel like you've got the game-winning touchdown and they're dropping Gatorade all over you. You know what I mean? Like, that can be your level of success where like I said, having those opportunities where you're doubling your income, that is a Super Bowl moment where you're dancing around in your house, So you need a career coach at all sectors of your life, in my opinion. But you really need a career coach if you are in a place where you've been applying for a position or positions and you haven't heard anything back. Weeks have passed by, or you're getting instant rejections the very next day.
And
You
never
need a
getting
career
callbacks.
coach. Right. Or you're on LinkedIn, you have several people connected to you, but they're not, no one's reaching out to you about opportunities. Or if they are, it's not the opportunities that align with what you're trying to do. You're not telling your message correctly. That's what a career coach is. They're creating the message. They're helping you create your own messaging. They're helping you create your own path and positioning you in a way in which you can align with that. You attract the correct opportunities to you based on what you are outputting, the things that you're putting out, your resume, your application, what you're saying in an interview, all of those things. If you get through an interview, a first round interview with me as a recruiter, for example, and you never get to the second round, you need a career coach because there's something you're saying or doing in that first interview that keeps knocking you out. You got to get past that. I'm what we call ourselves on the inside.
You're bouncers. You're bouncers.
Yeah. I am protecting my hiring manager from hearing
wasting time.
That don't qualify. Right.
Yeah.
To wasting anyone's time. And you are representing of me. So I can't, even if I like you, if you don't qualify, I can't put you through. You're representing me. You didn't
100%.
tell me that you do the job right. So no.
So no. If I knew you in 2018, 2019, I might still be in the corporate world. Yeah. Seriously. So with all due respect, I'm glad we didn't meet.
No, you're exactly where you're supposed to be.
Exactly. So. I'm very happy now. My other question around career coaching is, what does it look like? Do you do a bunch of career coaching and then you get the job and then goodbye? Or is it a monthly touch point? Like, how does your programs and coaching work?
I have different programs, but the initial program that most people start is my 30-day program. In my 30-day program, I provide them content on an every daily basis for 30 days. It's either a worksheet, a video, some reading material, but no more than an hour of your time a day. And it's given to you on a daily basis. I'm not saying you have to read it or consume it as it's given. You know, you can only, if you want to just only do it on the weekends, you can do that. And then I do a touch point on a weekly basis where I'm talking live with you about what are your questions? How can I walk you through the process? What are some concerns you have? Let's see the homework you did. Great. I'm teaching you how to be self-sufficient. A lot of people, a lot of coaches, you'll notice in the market are selling services like, I'll fix your resume. I'll do your LinkedIn profile. Give me $200 and I'll take care of it for you. The problem with that is you need to redo it every time you apply for a position if you want to take it seriously. So are you paying $200 for every resume? I'm trying to enable my people to be able to do it for themselves. It's not sustainable to get your resume redone every time you want to apply somewhere else. So I'm going to teach you the words and the verbiage and how to think and how to present yourself in a way in which you are attracting the right opportunities to you. So for 30 days, that's kind of the format that you're given, but I'm providing a transformation. So as you asked me earlier, you know, who are the people that are needing this, you know? So if your transformation starts at no one is responding to my resume, to all the way to the end, my course ends with mock interviewing, coaching, as well as negotiation. I'm teaching you how to, once you've now completely transformed how you present yourself, now I'm going to teach you how to negotiate. A lot of people think, it's a misconception. They think that the negotiation is only when the offer is provided. Salary negotiation, all of that is only when it's an offer is presented. But the negotiation starts when they look at your resume. When they look at your LinkedIn, that's when the negotiation starts, because who you've presented on there is telling me who you are. So if you're not telling me you've led or you're somewhat of a leader or anything like that, I'm just going to see you as an individual contributor. My offer is going to reflect you're just a helper. You're not leading the charge. You're just a participant, which isn't a bad thing. But if your goal is to be a leader, you need to position yourself and talk about the things you've led. And so that's the transformation that they're getting is is who can you become in 30 days?
Right. Before I take up too much of your time,
Mhm.
what is one success of some of your clients that you're really proud of?
Yeah, right now, I have a client literally right now. Her last day is Friday at her current company. And she's been in this particular company for several years and has been underpaid
Of
this
course.
entire time. She's been
Mhm.
underpaid. She
Do you
has
tell her
decided
that?
to, yeah, we have those
Okay.
conversations.
Okay.
She knew that. She knew that.
Yeah.
And she had an opportunity to pursue another position. I won't say, oh, another tech company. And I helped her through the entire process, from her resume to her LinkedIn to her interviewing, what to say, what not to say, how to say it, everything, to the negotiation, what numbers to say, what numbers not to say, stand firm. They accepted her offer because it's all about what you're offering.
Yeah.
They accepted her offer and her terms. It doubled her income overnight. She went back to her current employer and told them that she had another opportunity. They have agreed to match that role.
So is she staying or is she
This whole
leaving?
time, you could have paid me what I was worth, but she never asked. They're not going to give it to you unless you ask for it. They know your value. If your
Of course.
job keeps telling you, oh, or your boss keeps saying, oh, your hard work doesn't go unnoticed, we really appreciate you. Put your money where your mouth is. Do you?
Seriously. Let's see how much you appreciate me. What's the dollar amount on
Right.
that?
If it's only 3%, I got to go.
Gotta go.
3% is not my output in the world is not 3%. I'm giving you 100% of my time during those times that I'm there. I need way more than what you're offering, and you have to go out and seek it. And I'll leave you with this: the biggest pay increase typically people get comes from leaving the company that they're at.
Yeah, I know.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. It's the biggest slap in the face. It's
It
it's
is, but
it's so sad that you have to be out the door before they give a shit.
right. But the thing that you have to remember is this isn't your company.
I know.
That's what you
Right.
have to realize, that you are just a worker bee, unfortunately, at this particular company until you are the CEO. If that bothers you, it's time to step into your entrepreneurial self. Because if it makes you
Amen, girl.
uncomfortable, it's time to transition into something else. Because if you're comfortable, then that's where you're supposed to be, right? In some
Yeah.
form or fashion. But if you're uncomfortable listening and being dictated what time you go to the bathroom, if you started in a call center, so did I, what time you go to the bathroom, what time you take your lunch break, what time you do this, what time you do that. Hey man, I am grown. My bladder it's bladder. It's got to go do what it's got to do. I'm not telling you that I got to go to the bathroom. I'm
Yep.
grown. No. So
Well,
repositioning.
Willena, I'll paint a
Yes, right.
picture. Trust me. I was dictating when I went to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I work for myself now.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Just reminded me of one quick question. What are your thoughts on loyalty to companies? I know. I think it's
another big
bullshit.
misconception.
Yeah.
It's another big misconception. Our ancestors taught us that in order to be successful, you need to be at a government job or be in a good company that you can get a pension plan or something, and you got to be there 20, 30 years in order to be,
all in a
to
good day's work.
Right. But that's not the case.
No.
If you died tomorrow, the company is still going to go on. They're not going to shut down Amazon if you pass on, unfortunately.
There's someone else in the seat before it gets cold.
Absolutely. I worked at a call center, and I hadn't experienced this ever in my life. I was on a call, working late, and a person was on a call as well, was getting yelled at by a customer on the phone, and literally died on that call, literally passed out and died.
Your
right
person
there.
working with you?
Yes.
Like a heart attack?
Yeah. Yeah. He was literally on the call center floor. We were all on a call, different calls, it's a call center. You're on separate phone calls. This lady was yelling at him. And it was obviously too much. And he literally passed and died.
Holy shit.
And you know what happened? The person called back in and they had to transfer that call to another person. Didn't miss a beat.
Did you tell the customer?
No, like you can't tell the customer.
Right. True.
So that's just a testimony that you could still be right there and they moving on.
Literally. I've yelled at a lot of customer service people. You're making me feel really guilty, but I've also been yelled at a lot, and it is scary. It's funny because I've worked in customer service. There was one call I had, this is literally not even interesting, but I had one call where I had to go home, and I'm a tough girl, but I had to go home and like take the rest of the day off. And I still haven't learned to not yell at customer service people. But one call over Christmas, I was on the phone with RBC, just like freaking out about flights, but like I was angry, but I caveat to the customer service person being like, I'm not pissed off at you. I'm pissed off at the situation. You guys aren't trained enough to be able to deal with this. So I'm like, just remember, I'm not mad at you personally, but I'm still mad. And I'm still mad that you're not actually doing anything about it. But I just know that you just don't have authority to do anything. And that's what I'm pissed off about.
Right. Why are we on this phone call? Yeah.
I'm taking it out on you, and you're going to deal with it right now, but just know I'm not really mad at you.
Yes.
I'm sure she still hated me. I'm sure she put some red flags on my account. That's probably why they're not reversing any charges anymore. Switch banks. Anyways. One last question for you. I've been saying that for like 10 more questions. After everything that you've been through and everything that you've faced adversity and the jobs that you've gone, and you've been running your coaching business for a little bit, do you feel that you had to go through all of that in order to have what you have today?
Yeah. Because I can appreciate it more, and it takes strength to get to this place. Although I constantly ask God, I'm strong enough. I don't think I can be any stronger, but he still decides to challenge me along my journey. But to be as strong as this person, I think that allows me to be a vessel and a leader in this space and help people who are still in that dark place and extend a hand to lead them out.
Yeah. Amen to that. Where can everyone find you? I already know like 3 friends that I'm like, as soon as this episode goes live, I'm gonna be like, go call this girl. Like, you need career coaching today. Yeah. So where can they find you?
Well, I am actually hosting a free workshop on February 20th at 7 p.m. It's a Sunday, and people can sign up at yourfavoritecareercoach.com. yourfavoritecareercoach.com. It's going to be a great time. Right now, I already have 100 people that are signed up to be in the room. And it's going to be an interactive thing where we're going to be talking about all the things that I'm going over in my 30-day course. I'm giving a condensed version of that. And we're talking about things that you can actually do that day. That same day, you can get a transformation. So yourfavoritecareercoach.com, a practical guide to career success is the course that I'm providing, the workshop that I'm hosting on that Sunday, February 20th at 7 p.m.
Very cool. Very cool. And share that link with me so I can share it on LinkedIn before this episode goes live, and also when it goes live, just so people can know about it. Willena, thank you so much. This has been fantastic. Can you tell I love to talk about careers and business?
No, I do too.
Yes, it's good. There's some topics I have on this podcast, and I'm not as versed in it, but I get fired up about careers. So yeah, so when I saw you in the Facebook group, I was like, I don't even know if what she's talking about fits, but let's make it fit, because I love to talk about this. So thank you so much. Yes. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on. If anyone feels like they need a transformation in their career, which, come on, we all do. I need to ask you questions after this. Please reach out to Willena and start getting coached by her. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.